so far. That will be part of the conversation on the breakfast show today.
Now, as part of the program today, we'll also have Obobia Dakun Opoku to give us certain inspirational, or if you would like, motivational messages. She will be doing this every Monday and Thursday, so please do well to make a date with us and her, of course. Now, let's take the motivation from Obobia.
Life throws a lot of questions at us every now and then, but your ability to respond to those questions with appropriate answers defines who you really are. Most often, you are caught up in the drama of your own questions. You ask yourself, why me? Why am I here? Why am I in this relationship? Why am I pursuing this career? Why this? Why that? And so on. But remember this, if your why does not answer the question of your purpose and your call to the services to God and humanity, then your priorities are probably misplaced. Somebody is waiting for you to mess up. Somebody is waiting for you to give up. Someone is waiting to see you fail. So when you are challenged by life, what are you going to do? When you feel like you are at your lowest point in life, will you throw in the towel, or you will make the moves to be successful? It's okay for you to desire success, but what is the motivation behind your desire? If your reason is not strong enough, your actions are less likely to create the results you expect. A strong why is the fuel you need to drive you forward towards success. Are you ready to find your why? Your why will pull you up when you feel like you don't have the strength to get up anymore. Your why will keep you fighting when everyone else thinks you are out for the count. Who are you fighting for? What drives you? It's not always going to be an easy road. And when you reach success, you won't take it for granted. You will cherish those moments you had to go through, those moments you were without. And when you fall down, get back up, dust yourself off. Don't look back. Just remember where you came from and let that drive push you to go the extra mile until your why is answered. As said by Roy T. Bennett, if you have a strong purpose in life, you don't have to be pushed. Your passion will drive you there. See you soon.
Very motivating, and I am really touched.
I am.
What really do you want in life? Just go at it, and don't be let down by anything.
And don't ever forget your why.
And join us again this week for more from Obobia Dak. We'll be taking the weather update. When we continue from there, you hear more on this program.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. we can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome back. This is the morning update on TV XYZ. I told you you can follow us on social media, Facebook, and of course you can also subscribe to YouTube. Follow Wezo TV on Facebook or as well as YouTube. Just call a friend. Let's join this conversation. You can always start sending your text messages now. You can do that by WhatsApp 0596 999 999. 0596 999 999, and it's all about what is trending. A lot of things have happened over the weekend.
Yes, a lot indeed. But before we actually delve into our newspaper headlines, over the weekend there was a news item where a woman who had just delivered, actually an 18-year-old lady who had just delivered, chopped off the head of the baby because apparently people have advised her to go for blood money. She has a first child who the man didn't accept, and so she has been the sole person taking care of the child. So the second one, she was contemplating how to take care of the two of them, and so when she was advised to go for blood money, she actually went ahead to kill her baby for that. Can you imagine this? I was so sad. How do you look at your child's face and cut off their head? And I think this is a rampant issue that is going on. A lot of people going in for blood money, killing here and there. It's sad. It's really sad.
You could tell from my immediate reaction that I was touched.
Yeah.
I have a daughter, and she just turned 18. I believe that no matter what happens, I would prefer to condition her for a better future.
Yes.
And so if that child so happens to go wayward, I don't think it will happen. But if it should happen, I should find processes that I can initiate, engage people to condition her and bring her out of that. There have been scenarios where children as young as 15, 16, 17, 18 become pregnant as a result of truancy or peer influence and so on. And parents rather make them targets, insult them. They don't even remember that perhaps their negligence may have contributed to it. And they traumatize these children, and they go through all these. We've heard of Sakawa, we've heard of people burying themselves in coffins and so on.
Yeah.
I've seen people doubling money on television. And I ask myself, what is the National Communications Authority doing? And so the orientation that we are building, or we are pushing into the minds of the youth these days, is how to make quick money. And we have seen things happen. We wait till it crashes. Then you see Ghana, the central bank, you see all the regulatory bodies coming out to speak. It is like what happened to Men's Gold.
Yes.
They saw it coming. State authorities saw it coming. Institutions which have people we are paying knew things were going wrong. They waited till it got out of control.
Yes.
Well, what is on your mind? Just send us your views. 0596 999 0596 999 999. We have the newspapers now. Abna has the Daily Graphic.
Yes, I have the Daily Graphic. I also have the Chronicle, and I have the Finder. Now, on the front page of the Daily Graphic, it says here that COVID-19 real. It's evil, dangerous virus. That's Palmer Buckle affirms. Now, this is a Reverend Minister who has come out to say that COVID is real because he was infected by the COVID. And so those of you running to churches thinking that you will not get infected, or you are infected and running to churches thinking you will get healed, please advise yourselves. It's right here.
Yeah, I think it's a good advice.
Yes.
It's a good advice because there is still a group of people in this country who think that everything is spiritual. This is one of the respected men, and I believe he has followed all the protocols.
Yes.
But how he got it, nobody knows. But I like the effort he has put in. Because there's an influential person in society, for him to have come out and put out that video, first, put everybody on his toes, and second, makes us understand that the disease is real. What other stories do you have at the back page of the
I still have on the front page, I still have self-medication adding to risk of COVID-19. A lot of people have been taking certain things thinking that it will help. The last time somebody sent a message on the show saying that he started experiencing the symptoms and he took boiled lemon and then he realized that he was healed. So imagine this person would keep telling other people and then they would also be thinking that self-medication would help. Now, moving on, it says that president to join campaign to consume cocoa product. This is, anyways, I'll move on from that. The president is promoting made in Ghana, whilst the court is promoting suit. Now, Respondents Council grills Metal Nunu today. So there's another witness going to be in the stand today. We don't know that he would come in live or to be.
I think it is likely to be virtual.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me also, or you want to do the Chronicle? Okay, do the Chronicle and let me start mine.
This is actually a funny story because last week an assemblyman went to lock a public toilet because he said he needed his money back. Now today an MP has also gone to lock up school blocks. He's saying that...
an MP?
Yes. It says an MPP chair locks up school block over alleged non-payment of contract money.
Well, I believe that we'll have further conversation on this because the Contractors Association of Ghana last month issued a statement threatening government that if monies owed them are not paid, they were going to take over the facilities they have used their investment to build. They go for loans. So these are road projects, these are hospital projects, these are school projects. So I'm not surprised it is happening, but I believe that government is putting up measures to address these concerns.
We can only hope so.
Well, let me start with the Herald newspaper. The front page says, Akufo-Addo government chokes police service with contract officers, personnel crying over career progression. And so that's it. I'm sure later they will put it on the screen. So there it is on your screen. Akufo-Addo government chokes police service with contract officers, personnel crying over career progression. Gabi Ochredako changing narrative on Ejapa scandal as Ken Ofori test vetting draws near. And Muntaka apologizes to Supreme Court judges. These are on the front page of the Herald newspaper. I want to move on to the Ghanaian Times. The Ghanaian Times comes with a picture and it talks about Ghanaians who need to be protected by the security men who are operating along the borderlines. And obviously it's about COVID. It says illegal entry into the country. 51 foreigners deported after being intercepted at a Sikuma inland checkpoint in the Volta region. So there it is on the front, on the screens. And then the other smaller stories here. West Blue gets 2 ISO certifications for quality business, and election petitions against MPs in limbo. High Court yet to fix dates for hearing. And COVID-19 outbreak in schools. Don't panic, parents too. Center spread of the Ghanaian Times newspaper continues with most of the stories that have been captured on the front page. The back page is sports. Dwarfs worsen inter-allies plight. And Kotoko shock Karela to go to the top. So I've done 2 papers, Herald and Ghanaian Times. If you don't mind, you can do one more, and then I go for the Inquisitor.
Okay, so I think I would still continue with the Chronicle, because on last Friday we mentioned a story about an ambulance being attacked. Now apparently the driver didn't make it, but the woman has safely delivered, which is also a very sad story. Now moving on to the Finder, it says that Public Dirt, Oforiatta and the records, they're all here in the Finder.
So let me do the Inquisitor. Inquisitor on its front page, the big story says, to pay or not to pay, Tor chases Woodfield's Energy over $5 million debt. This is big, eh?
Yeah.
McKinsey creams GRA of 18.5 I don't know whether it's million or thousand, but $18.5 million, I guess, as Commissioner General snubs off over bad conditions. And the back page has nothing much, but all you have to do at this time is to look for the headlines that we have talked about, read around them, because when our guests join us on the newspaper review segment, we'll delve into many of these issues. We'll be taking a short break. When we come back, Wisdom, Hede Joma, will join Abena for the news.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to Somenya or Accra.
Sure.
Check, auto checks. Check, auto checks. Check.
Emission, check.
Check, auto checks.
Alignment, check.
Auto checks.
Brakes, check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehin fapa na menya bosia edi atre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre mi yebusia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yemamwa akwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodo bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekuokuo bosia, susu account, and that's all our savings account. Me bada chain savings account, and then the keka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Now one so to me aka say.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Me damwase.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo. Can I join you guys?
Yeah. Always drink fresh, natural eggs, mineral water.
Still got it.
Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
When we say that X Natural Mineral Water is simply natural, it's not just a slogan. It really is naturally produced. Now, if you just joined in, this is still the morning update on TV XYZ. My name is Nana Abnasawa, and I have been doing this with Eric Ahianyo. At this point, we will be taking details of some of the stories in the headlines that we have discussed from Wisdom Headed Jome. Good morning,
you have to always
Wisdom.
mention that name with a smile on a Monday morning. I mean, it's good.
I had to say it.
Yes, it's good.
I got it right, didn't I? Headed Jome.
Yes, Headed Jome.
No. So what do you have for us this morning?
So I'll be telling you about the Archbishop of Cape Coast who has contracted COVID-19. He's been telling the world that's a positive thing. I'll be telling you about that. Again, I'll also be telling you about what Alhaji Mubarak Muntaka has been saying. Now, you remember that issue having to do with him making a public claim that a judge tried to, bribe an NDC MP. Well, he's apologized. I mean, people said, well, that's a sign of a good man. And so let's move on. And then Cocoa Board has to answer some questions because it has boldly and publicly confirmed that it owes LBCs, contrary to the defense of Afenyo Marking. And very finally, the Supreme Court, like you made mention, is resuming sitting today, and Rojo Nunu is expected to, sit in the witness box.
All right, so Wisdom, take us away.
And many thanks for joining us. Now, MP for Asawase, Alhaji Mubarak Muntaka, who a few weeks ago was a toast of social media, has now been trolled on the same platform. His crime is lying and standing by an earlier claim that a Supreme Court judge tried and attempted to bribe an NDC MP to vote for Speaker Aaron Mike Okwe. Now, he's apologized and swallowed his words. And in his apology letter, he simply said he was misled.
This is how Minority Group's Chief Whip, Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak, sparked the controversy in a television interview.
I mean, so shamefully, a Supreme Court judge called a colleague, lady, telling her what they will give her. She has children, they will help her take care of her children. She can take fuel from a filling station for the 4 years. I mean, and the time he made those calls, we are looking at all those things.
His claim, days after the brawl in Parliament over the election of Speaker, triggered by Carlos Ahinkra, who snatched ballot papers, fueled public concern about the sinking image of the judiciary. Alhaji Muntaka Mubarak, who was then the toast of town for the brevity, the hot chase that prevented the Tema West MP from destroying ballot papers, insisted on his claim when he was taken on by critics. But the truth is out now. He has issued an open apology and now claims he was misled. Part of his apology over the weekend read, "Based upon good counsel, I have also decided to let sleeping dogs lie and will consequently refrain from any public commentary on the matter which, as I have indicated, was originally reported to me by a female colleague parliamentarian." The chief whip of the NDC caucus in his press release added, "This unintended consequence is deeply regretted. It is my fervent prayer that the existing historic cordial relations between the legislature and the judiciary will not be affected by this incident, but will continue to grow in the interest of the country." The U-turn has provoked angry comments and calls on the Chief Justice not to rest the matter. Key among them is the US-based Ghanaian constitutional lawyer, Professor Kwekwasare. In a Facebook post, he said his retraction should not obstruct the judicial inquiry into the matter. It read, "If true, is serious enough to warrant some consequences, and equally, if it is false and had no basis, is serious enough to warrant some consequences." Professor Sare's statement continued, "However, I am not oblivious to our Fama Nyame culture, and I am certain that we will close the chapter on this one and move on as if nothing has happened. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the broad-based consultation he says he made reached a settlement that the masses be given a tranquilizer in the form of this half-baked apology.
Still on Muntaka's apology, and TV Express has been speaking to some political analysts and social media commentators who have described the development as unfortunate. Now, others who will not react immediately said the singular action further casts doubt on the speakers on Parliament, and that which is characterized by the chaos and scenes captured on live TV during the election of the 8th Speaker of Parliament. Jonathan Ochre Asante is a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. Let's hear him.
The case was quite a strong one, and it needed some kind of evidence to support that. I think that the particular MP who gave Honorable Muntaka the information is probably not willing to go ahead with as it were giving further information to Honorable Muntaka, and Muntaka then becomes a third person in the whole equation. So if the person is no longer ready to give that kind of information, I think that it's appropriate that he will apologize and retract. Besides, the Ghana Bar Association and even the judiciary, as it were, asked the Honorable Muntaka to either retract and apologize, or, as it were, make himself available to meet the committee that the Chief Justice was ready to set up. And so, in as much as it was not an appropriate kind of allegation, once he's been able to unequivocally withdrawn, retracted and apologized, I think that that's a mark of a strong man. It's in order he's apologized, and then I think that let's sleep in those lie.
Now, Cocoa Board has been compelled to speak out after Parliament summoned its Chief Executive, Joseph Boahen Edu, to answer questions about Cocoa Board's purchase this crop season. Now, MP for Buem told Parliament Cocoa Board's indebtedness to licensed buy companies was killing farmers, by the MP for Efutu Apanyo Marking accused him of lying. Now, Cocoa Board says it will pay monies within 7 days.
MP for Buem, Kofi Adams, first raised concerns about the suffering cocoa farmers in his constituency following Cocoa Board's indebtedness to licensed buying companies in spite of the whopping $1.3 billion borrowed for the 2020-2021 crop season. But MP for Efutu, Apanyo Marking, fought back, describing the claim as blatant falsehood, accusing the NDC MP of populism. Though the Speaker summoned Cocoa Board to answer questions, the two MPs took their claims to the press corps.
It's a major cocoa growing area, and they are owed not less than 11 million Ghana cedi from the sales of their produce, their labor. And Cocoa Board, I'm told, is supposed to release funds also to the LBC so that LBCs will in turn pay these farmers. And so if the farmers are complaining, and I'm not getting answers from the LBCs that operate in my constituency.
From the record, Cocoa Board has paid the LBCs. We are challenging them. If they know of any LBC that has submitted invoices that Cocoa Board has refused to pay, they should put out the fact. They should name those LBCs in Buem and in Western North. Yes, we are all concerned about the plight of farmers. But the point is that if you don't have facts, don't just come to the House of Parliament and allege that Cocoa Board has refused to pay LBCs.
But Cocoa Board has admitted it owes LBCs and has promised to pay them within 7 days. Cocoa Board's Deputy Chief Executive Officer, who confirmed, thus blamed the development on COVID-19. He explains that monies government mobilized was not enough and they hope to raise enough guarantees to pay within 7 days. It is not clear if Parliament will still go ahead to grill the CEO in spite of the open admission made.
Now, TVXYZ to keep you updated on that development. Now, parents anxiously waiting for placement to senior high schools have been asked to ignore social media reports that the list is out. Now, the Ghana Education Service has issued a statement describing such publications as false. According to GES, the public must follow its official social media handles on Facebook, ges.gov.gh, Twitter at GH Edu Services, Instagram at GH Edu Service, and the website ges.gov.gh for credible information. It also assured that unlike last year's exercise, which was characterized by chaos and confrontations at the Black Star Square, this year's placement process has been properly handled to ensure smooth process. Result of this year's BECE was out about 2 months ago, but government has announced first year SHS students will report to school in March. Now, government will from tomorrow, February 9, begin recruitment of medical doctors and dentists. This is according to the Ghana Medical Center. According to the Ghana Doctors and Medicines. Now, according to a statement issued last week by the Health Ministry, only those who have completed their housemanship and are permanently registered with the Medical and Dental Council shall qualify of what it described as the 21st list compiled by the council. Now, the recruitment TVXYZ News has length begins at midday tomorrow, and qualified applicants are formally applied to the Health Ministry's online portal and follow the instructions to select their preferred agency under the ministry. The deadline for submission of application is next Friday, February 19. We'll go to some related stories on COVID-19 and a viral video in which the Metropolitan Archbishop of Cape Coast, Most Reverend Gabriel Charles Pamabako, shares his experience at an isolation center at the East Hospital for contracted COVID-19 has sparked mixed reactions. Now, while many, especially Catholics, are praying for him, and other patients also say the gesture call for extra commitment by government before it's too late. Now, let's hear the Most Reverend Charles Pamabako, who predicts or describe the 3 P's: prayer, protocols, and prayer.
Dear ones, this is just a video shot from the recovery garden at the East Infectious Disease Center, where I am undergoing treatment for COVID-19. I just thought sending this message out to those of you who are my loved ones, at least will let you know I've survived it for 5 days, and therefore I encourage anybody who is afflicted not to be afraid. Because yes, COVID is real, but healing is equally real if we will do the best. My advice is what I call the 3 P's: prayer, protocols, and prayer. And you can add 2 more to it, and protocols and prayer, so it becomes 5. Let us continue praying, thanking God for the doctors, the nurses, the frontline workers, and the great good job they are doing. They are really stretched out and stressed out. They need our prayerful support, love, and concern for themselves and for anything God can help them to do. Number 2, let us continue to pray for those who are patients like myself, a privileged one. May God take our impatience even as prayer and bring us healing. But I must say, with a lot of patience, we will do well and we shall overcome whatever the sickness is about. Number 3, I'd like us to pray for all Ghanaian citizens and to plead with them. COVID is real. they should observe the health protocols as religiously as possible. We should not take things for granted.
And a very positive message from the Metropolitan Archbishop of Cape Coast, Charles Palmer Bako. And over the weekend, more high-profile personalities were reported to have contracted the virus. Now, as of last night, the Ghana Health Service COVID-19 website was reporting 791 fresh cases with a total death of 449. Let's go to Parliament again, because more petitions are pouring in as Parliament Appointment Committee set to vet the nominees of the President for ministerial positions.
Schedule. And first among those to take their turn are Minister Designate for Health, Kwaku Agyeman-Manu, followed by Albert Kandapah, Minister Designate for National Security. Petitions pouring in seem to have targeted some appointees in the previous administration for perceived corruption or misconduct. The latest, cited by TVXYZ News, was in the name of a think tank, Governance Watch Alliance. Among the list are already marked nominees including Esla Owusu-Ekufo, who is heading for the Communications Ministry, Finance Minister Designate Ken Ofori-Atta and Mavis Hawa Kumson over the Kaswa shooting incident. Governance Watch is taking over Ken Ofori-Atta over the Ejapa deal and collapse of financial institutions. Albert Kandapah for his failed role in investigating the Takoradi missing girls saga, among others. The complaint against Attorney General Designate Godfred Dame is about the Japa deal and the disenfranchised Seoul residents in the disputed Hohoi parliamentary election. Others listed include Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul, Agric Minister Designate Dr. Owusu-Efriye, as well as the Roads and Highways Minister Kweku Amoako-Atta. Labour Union Textile and Garment Workers Union, also known as TEGLU, has also petitioned the committee against former Employment Minister Ignatius Bafo-Ewua and Alan Tramanting for Trade and Industry. Issues raised include the lip service to pledges to promote and protect the textile industry from further collapse and attempts by the Employment Ministry to undermine the collective bargaining powers by TEGLU and the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union.
And before we go, the Supreme Court will resume hearing the election petition case, and John Mahama's third witness, Robert Joseph Metal Nunu, is expected to take the witness post. And that's it for this morning's news in brief on the morning update. Nana.
Thank you. Can I say you look good now? Because he says when I say he looks good, he gets confused. So since you're done, you look good. And thank you for the stories for today. You're doing an awesome job for us. Now, if you're just tuned in, this is still the morning update on TVXYZ. We want to take a quick turn, and when we come back, we'll delve into COVID and its effect on our students. So don't go nowhere.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For our Kwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you. The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure.
Check, 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 auto checks. Check, 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 auto checks. Check, check.
Emission. Check.
Check, 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 auto checks.
Alignment. Check.
Auto checks. Check, 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 auto checks.
Brakes. Check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforodia Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much.
Auto checks.
Auto checks. Check.
AutoChecks. Your safety, our priority.
Check, 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 auto checks.
If I cry na menyisika, edia ye mefui.
Ehimfa pa na menya bosia edi atre medwuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre me busia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yɛma akwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ye won hyehyɛ ahodoɔ bi te sɛ gadifo abosia, ekuokuo abosia, susu account, ɛne daso wɔ hɔ savings account, me bada chain savings account, ɛne de akeka ho. Press Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Na won so wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank entime pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome back to the morning update on TV XYZ. My name is Nana Abunasewa, and as we always do it, we will be having some discussions, especially on COVID, as most of us are still not following the protocols, whereas students are in schools. We've had a lot going on with the COVID-19, and also we have discussed a lot on this platform. Now, this segment is brought to you by Health Alert Clinic. If you have any underlying ailment, then please try as much as possible to pass through. Or if you are feeling any form of the corona symptoms that we've been talking about, which is the dry cough, the fever, the tiredness, just pass through and they will test it out for you. Now, we will be talking to two members of Nooks. We have in our midst, we have Stalon Ni Okai, which is on my extreme left. And also I have Abdul Wahan Hassan Sisse. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for coming this morning, gentlemen. Yeah. It's a pleasure to have you. Now, before we move into the deeper sections of our discussions, I know that you are mostly in charge of the tertiary. I'm right.
Yeah. I'm in charge of general, like
general.
all sectors.
Okay.
But,
okay.
But we have appointees who also look at the different sectors and helping me in running the education office.
Okay. All right. So tell us about some of the experiences that you have had on campus and what is going on campus, most especially the tertiary side.
All right. Thank you very much. I would like to say good morning to your viewers. We bring you warm greetings from the fraternity of Nooks. Taking the tertiary sector, I think so far so good. when you look at the various campuses, protocols are being adhered to. Lectures is going on very well. The school management themselves independently, they have put in some measures that is really running good at the various campuses. There is a little difficulties that is with regards to the class sizes. There are some campuses that they have huge class sizes that they are not being able to divide them into two. But there are other campuses who are also doing very well when it comes to class sizes, like UDS, for instance. The classes with big sizes have been divided into two. But other schools like Eugene, KNUST, it's not being done like that. And that is, so far, that is our only worry when it comes to the COVID protocols and those kind of stuff. But aside that, I think it's very well, it's going on good. And then all the students too are very conscious about the protocols and they are duly following it. And I think it's really a good thing.
Right. But as you said, there's still congestion,
Sure.
which is a major factor or contributor to the spread of COVID-19. So
Sure.
is there anything that has been done about it, or is that something that you're doing in order to get that sorted?
We are still picking up those informations, but we have started works on it though. So we are working hard to see that moving forward things will change. But we cannot entirely blame them because infrastructures is like compelling them to do what they are doing now. So all that we are saying, or all that we have proposed so far is to at least the classes with the big size should try and then encourage virtual learning and those kind of stuff, so that instead of them going to class, they can be at their various hostels engaging themselves in that particular class. But then when it comes to the electives that the classes, they have that small size of class, then they move in. So that is what we have started to propose to them.
Okay, so I'll come back to you and ask about how it has, the response to what you have been suggesting so far. Now I'll go to Abdul Wahan. Also, could you tell us the experience on the pre-tertiary side, which is the secondary schools and even the high schools?
Okay. Thank you very much for having me, and then good morning to our cherished viewers. Unfortunately, to some extent, my story is not that good. I like what we have in the tertiary institutions, because as we may all agree, the tertiary institutions, the students are matured, they are able to observe some few protocols. But when we come to the basic school, the students are solely responsible for everything that goes on there. And unfortunately, unlike the tertiary education, we have recorded some cases in some parts of the country in the basic and then the pre-tertiary sector, which is a bit troubling, with Greater Accra having the greater figure of about 20 cases and then some few number of contact tracing. And secondly also, when we come to the basic and then the pre-tertiary sector, government also is responsible to providing the necessary protective equipment and the PPEs to the various government institutions. And so instances where they are lacking, or the items haven't gotten to the students in time, they struggle and then they try as much as possible, to observe the protocols. But without much support, we have issues here and there. A majority of them too are those in the lower classes, because certainly you require more financial background to be in the tertiary, but in the basic school almost every average Ghanaian would have the opportunity to attend, and majority of them too have very, very appalling economic stance, and so it also goes into affecting what we are seeing today.
Right now, academically, how has this impacted the students?
It hasn't been easy, because there were instances where when government promised to provide the PPAs, you realize that majority of the guidance and the teachers had to leave campuses to go to district offices, regional offices in chase of PPAs. And in periods where they have left these students alone, kids and what our junior brothers and sisters do when teachers are not around, they try as much as possible to play together, and then they end up compromising on some of these COVID-19 protocols that we are supposed to observe. So it hasn't really been perfect, but we are trying as much as possible. We continue to advocate and then educate them on the need and the necessity to do some of the things that we are telling them to do.
Right. Now, so I can acknowledge some of my sponsors before I come to you, Stalon. So this segment is brought to you by Health Alert Clinic. As I said earlier on, if you're feeling any form of the corona symptoms, kindly pass through and get tested. Or you can also call their numbers on 0242 518893 or 0242 518865. So if you cannot go there, you can do the telehealth and call them, and I'm sure they can attend to you as well. If it needs that you have to be there, then they would ask you to be there. Now, Stalon, please tell us, how has this affected the tertiary students?
I think the tertiary students, they are well psyched. They are, even though it has, it comes with some little fear in them, but then it's good because they are matured. They know what is really happening. They know how to protect themselves very well, and they are very psyched when it comes to the protocols and all those kind of stuff. So even though it looks scary, they are cool, enjoying their lectures.
Right. Now, I think I would want to start with Abdul with this question. A lot of the students from the basic side actually go to school with the public transportation, and then these people are still taking the same number of passengers they take even during the social distancing. What has been done about it in terms of the organization? Have you brought it up?
Yeah, that is the challenge that we acknowledge, and it's not just about the public transportation, but you realize that unlike the tertiary sector, the pre-tertiary, there is no or very few cases of boarding facilities. So majority of the students would have to walk home, and then in these processes, whether they walk to campuses or they pick public vehicles or whatever that they do after the normal class period, the teachers and the supervisors do not have an idea, and that has been the troubling, and probably those are some of the few reasons why we are seeing cases in those sectors more than the tertiary education. So we have advocated, we've asked that if there could be some initiative that could be put in place, first with regards to reviewing what happens with the public sector, the secondly also being with whether there are means and ways in which there's some, not all, because we would have to take in their financial stability, where some educational institutions can also be transporting or monitoring their students to and fro the campuses.
All right. Now, to Stalon, we all know, or we can tell, that the academic calendar has been disrupted. Now, the second year students will be going to school in March. How is this going to be monitored, and what proposals have you given to government at this point?
Yeah, let me take the monitoring first. It is something that we have been always doing as NUGS, so monitoring issues is not really a difficult thing to embark on, but then we will see to it that earlier on we would try and draft out our proposals as we usually do as an organization to the government, and then ensure, advocate for it to be for it to be adhered, or at least for it to be held. So we are hopeful that what was done during the lockdown, the break of school, and then when they were going in, what was done, the protocols that was put in place, that till date we are seeing a positive outcome, will equally be transferred to the first years who will be coming in as well. So we are very hopeful that when it gets to that point, there is no difficulties or no any alarming issue at that particular age. Yeah.
Okay. Now to Hassan. So some school of thought say that the NUGS is no longer as active as it used to be. Now with this in mind, would you say that you don't get involved in the policies or decision making by GES, or you actually do? Or
there is some iota of truth, because over the few years we have gone through some numerous notable challenges, but so far so good. Things have been better. We are back on track. We have been acknowledged by not just the GES but even the Educational Ministry for the past one academic year. We have been involved in all processes in the rundown to what we see presently, and so for the recent years things have been good, and then we have been doing well, and then we try as much as possible to put forward our recommendations and proposals each time there is a need to.
Okay, so just a very brief, in 30 seconds, could you tell the public, the general public who are actually frightened in this moment, parents and students, what to do and expect during this time?
Exactly. When you come to the pre-tertiary sector, we want to acknowledge the fact that it is a two-way situation. Parents would have to handle the situation outside campus, and then teachers can take over from them. And so we admonish parents to keep calm, to make sure that they try as much as possible to enlighten their children on the need to, because they are also at the receiving end, and ensure that all of us together we can observe the safety protocols. I know it is challenging. I know that some philanthropists try as much as possible to give them the PPEs. Some parents are not able to afford, but together let's come together as a unit and try as much as possible and help each other in ways that we can to minimize the spread of COVID.
Right. Newspaper review usually starts at this time, but give me just about 2 minutes and we'll wrap up this segment so we can take that newspaper review. Now, to start on, those in the hostel, how is the situation like over there? And yeah, please.
So thank you. The hostel situation is where we are having problems with, because there is a level of congestion at the hostel place, and then because like the numbers is increasing, they have no option. But then I would have preferred that other tertiary institution would have adopted what the UG style that they did in terms of the shift running. You know, what UG did was, in this year, the first years and the fourth years are now in school. They are coming to do like 6 months. They are coming to do like few weeks with intense lectures. So instead of previous time, they like having maybe 1 lecture a day. Now they are having 2 or 3 a day, so that they can finish what they used to use the whole semester to do in just these few weeks. So when they finish, then the third year and the second year and the third year will come in. So because of that, their hostel accommodation is very open, and then they are really observing the social distancing in their hostels as well. But then to other universities, it's not like that. Their hostel is still packed, and that is where our worrying is coming from. But then because of the way and the manner the tertiary students are, they really know what they are doing, as I've earlier on stated. So it is not really causing more than harm, but it's something that we should all be worried about. Okay. Because
thank you, Stalon. That is something that we should all be worried about. Indeed, Corona is real, and we do not say this because we want to scare you, but we want to protect you as well as the entire nation as well. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming.
Thank you.
And we do hope that you have a good day. We'll take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back. This is the morning update. If you check your time, it's about 7:46, and the conversation on the newspapers and other topical issues obviously begins at 7:30 today. We heard the National Union of Ghana Students. They have been speaking to Abena about how COVID is affecting students and their academic work. Remember, the students have been home for almost 8 to 9 months. They were recalled recently. Not all of them are in school, especially because government wants to manage how many of these students return to the public universities, especially where we have tens of thousands of students studying. And we know second-year students, for example, are going in March. NUCS is satisfied with protocols in place. It has a few concerns, but they believe that it is manageable, and they are asking parents not to panic. That segment is sponsored by Health Alert Clinic. Health Alert Clinic is a herbal clinic that provides its services using herbal and organic products. I want to take time to help you to appreciate Health Alert Clinic. As coronavirus rises, it is advisable that Health Alert Clinic does the magic for you. They deal with chronic diabetes, chronic hypertension, stroke and numbness, waist and muscle pains with machine treatment, and then burning sensation in the foot and body, chronic body pains, waist and bone pains, typhoid, bad cholesterol, gonorrhea, syphilis, dizziness, white, and so on and so forth. So Health Alert Clinic is there. All you have to do is to engage them, and they will treat your ailment. You can always contact them. The numbers are on the screen: 0245 93 0245 Health Alert Clinic is proudly part of the morning update on TVXYZ and Ways.tv. This morning, I'm going to do the conversation with the Dean of Graduate Studies at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, John Kweku Mensah Zimauto. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Today you are here alone, but you are not a lone ranger.
Okay.
Alexander Chumberema will join us by phone. Because of COVID, we are trying to reduce the numbers which visit us. And then I think one news editor, managing editor of WhatsApp News, will also join us because there is some twist to this debate over Cocoa Board and LBC's payment and farmers suffering and so forth. But first of all, let me welcome you to Morning Update.
Okay.
I'm sure over the weekend we continue to do the count. We heard the surprises of some of the high-profile personalities sharing their experiences. Archbishop Palmer Buckle has been in the news. The Osumanche, for example, is dead. And I also heard of other big men who have had the disease. It doesn't suggest that ordinary people don't have it, but the fact is COVID is becoming more scary.
Mm-hmm. That's unfortunate, but my greetings to all your viewers. It's refreshing that today you can only thank God when you wake up in the morning and you are strong and kicking. You see your family and you see your friend. I mean your friends as well as and the good ones around you, and especially seeing you this morning, sharply dressed and starting your day with the wonderful program. It's now something that has come to stay with us. It's unfortunate that you wake up in the morning and you can not really comprehend what is happening, but you only have to accept that today COVID is causing so much harm in this country and the world as a whole. As much as we are trying to fight against the virus, it seems the more you fight, the more it causes havoc. I don't think this year we're expecting it in this large scale. And day in, day out, the numbers are increasing. I think currently we are talking about an average of 700 a day. And if this number is to go by what we read every day, then we are looking at the multiplier effect of 700 infections a day. One could easily predict and project that if this is even to go, then in the next few days, the multiplier effect of the infection may be heading towards thousands and 2,000s in a day. Because one person, when you are infected, the presumption is that in a part of the world, we are asymptomatic, and it means that we end up infecting a lot of people
even before you become aware.
You even become aware that you have the virus. So it's a moment that nobody is so happy with, and I have been studying the process for all this while, and most economists today are preempting their survival on the availability of vaccine. It's unfortunate we heard a lot of bad news over the weekend. I think the prominent numbers are falling. We have the wife of the former member of parliament, Honorable Tremantin.
The former MP for Ayawaso West Wogon,
who also
died to COVID. And then I also picked something. The Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has also lost one Professor George Kufuor. I think he's a renowned research scientist and a strong advocate for traditional medicine. And the Ghana Health Service should be touched around this time. It's so sad. But let's move away quickly. I think we will continue to do the public education. Wherever you are, please just share the message. Let's all wise up and then put on our nose masks. Don't forget, you can join this conversation by sending us your WhatsApp messages 0556 999 999. It will pop up on the screen. Yes, there it is, and you can continue to follow us with your conversation. Abena will be joining us to read many of them as they come in. Now, let's look at what has happened over the weekend and the conversations on social media. Muntaka Mubarak was the toast of town. He was the MP everybody was hailing. And his work was very simple at that time, to chase a certain Carlos Ahinkra and prevent him from breaking the rules. Eventually, NDC got their Speaker of Parliament. Then 2-3 days later, he throws in some bomb, and the bomb is that a Supreme Court judge had attempted to bribe an NDC female MP. And here we are, he has apologized. A section of the public says, well, it's good. Some are angry that the Chief Justice should not stop the processes of investigating this. Now, I'm premising this on incidents or actions or inactions by members of Parliament and the growing public perception that is questioning the integrity they should hold. And I'm using this advisedly. Now, when you heard Muntaka, and after witnessing a lot of incidents affecting MPs, how did you react?
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but this particular, the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic, I think on a number of platforms, I have mentioned that their posture from day one, from the dissolution up to the inauguration, has been unpleasant and has dented the image that has been built up over the years by previous MPs. We saw, the result of what they did on the day of dissolution to the inauguration is what you are witnessing today with respect to COVID. They disregarded everything on that day. They threw caution to the wind. They didn't care about what was going to happen to them. They were moving. There was no social distance among them. They were fighting. They were arguing things out. The posture was so bad that the average Ghanaian, felt so disappointed in our MPs. Now, coming back to the issue of Honorable Muntaka, this is not the first time you have MPs making loose statement and coming out to apologize. And I want to agree with you with the fact that it boils down on integrity of our MPs. How do they manage information? For a whole chief whip of a party, and in Parliament, and you make such statements, indicting a judge at the Supreme Court is the highest allegation without evidence you could make as a lawmaker. Now, it's unfortunate some of those things are happening, but as you rightly mentioned, it boils down to the integrity. What are they doing to their integrity? That a time will come that MPs will speak and nobody would regard them. I think the last Parliament, the 7th Parliament, it seems virtually every year before we commence a new Parliament, there's a serious allegation You remember Mama Yariga's allegation respect to bribery case?
I do.
I mean, when the appointment committee met, later on, he was invited to the privileges committee, and some of us believe that it happened. But after privilege committee, I mean, there was some
didn't see how it ended.
It ended. No, I mean, there was a report that there was no evidence and all that. Everybody denied. Is it that we don't have evidence? Because indeed, it's a serious issue. And if you had listened to Honorable Muntaka,
yes,
it's a female colleague of their caucus,
and he had the opportunity to defend or clarify himself, and he insisted,
yes,
and said that in due course,
yes,
the identity of the so-called Supreme Court judge will be made public.
Thank you. So you see, my brother, I think we shouldn't push this under the carpet. Is it that the lady is the one who has now admitted that she was lying? Or is Muntaka who did not find the need to have gotten evidence before spewing such allegations?
Or could it also have been that the so-called MP, female MP, is chickening out from coming out to back what Muntaka has said? All these scenarios are playing out.
Yes, it's playing out. And we need to investigate. For somebody is threatening someone. For somebody is not speaking the truth. For somebody is trying to dent the image of someone. Now, this is where we expect our law enforcement, the CID, to get into such cases. Investigate the case to the latter. We shouldn't just push. You see, it's like every now and then, one of the major issues, I know in the few minutes to come, we're talking about corruption in this country. And it's so disheartening that day in, day out, the very people who are supposed to fight corruption are those who are perceived
now
to be perpetuating it.
I don't know how to put this question, but is it that the 1992 Constitution, which gives Parliament those privileges, which seeks to protect them by one way or the other whenever they are in session, that is being abused by the House itself, from the Speaker to the last MP. Now, many of them get involved in all kinds of things that the public is not happy about. We saw Carlos Ahinkra snatch a ballot paper, try to chew it as they alleged. It is taken from him, and he's working free. We saw instances where people wanted to interpret a video suggesting that the then majority leader or the leader of the majority group in Parliament, Oseche Mensah Bonsu, engaged him. But even beyond then, he kept on putting some level of information out there that suggested that, look, the impression was different. And eventually, when the Speaker was speaking for the first time, he said he was elected. It boils down to integrity issues. We saw John Jinapo kicking ballot boxes in the House. Now, we've heard of Kennedy Japan, we've heard of several issues involving members of Parliament. Now, if the House cannot take on its own, what message does it send to the average Ghanaian, and why should the average Ghanaian be punished for similar offenses?
My brother, the major problem we have in this country, myself and you know, we have the laws, we have the policies, but the major issue is enforcement, implementation. Don't you have privileges committee in Parliament? We do have. When cases go there, what happens? Apology, withdrawal. We ask, what punitive measures do they apply? What compelling factors do you put in place to prevent people from repeating some of these unfortunate things? Have you heard that Honorable Jinapo, who publicly, in fact globally, before a national television, kicked the ballot box which gave you the mandate into Parliament? Honorable Carlos, in fact that day, I think it was a day, in fact, I spent the whole day monitoring because I was on a sister.
All of us were interested.
Yeah, I was on a sister media house from 10 o'clock up to 8:30 in the morning.
Wow.
I was so disappointed in our MPs, and especially the new ones that were coming. they misbehaved throughout the night, and they were using unprintable words on each other, and in fact, you will not single out anyone.
So in view of this growing public perception about MPs and the House, which seems to be protecting them, and therefore they can break the law or make all kinds of pronouncements, and they are not taking on. We fortunately have a Speaker of Parliament who is expected to play a neutral role and demonstrate a real commitment towards changing the manner in which things have been in the past. Do you think Bagwin can do it?
I mean, where we have gotten to, it's not just a matter of one person. You know, I mentioned the enforcement of our laws, the enforcement of most of our policies. And I asked, when was the last time you heard that an MP has been punished by the Privileges Committee of Parliament? Because yes, they are the lord of their own laws and all that. Where myself and you sit, one could easily say that even if they are invited to the Privileges Committee, nothing will come out. It's just going to be the normal issue of apology. But we want the day when the Privileges Committee will now apply sanctions. That look, for what you have committed, you either have to resign, or you'll be suspended. You'll be suspended for committing such offences. It's very, very important for the Privileges Committee of Parliament to start cracking the whip. Until then, they will do it and go scot-free.
Now, let me refer you to another incident that happened on the floor of Parliament, and I've seen a lot of interesting comments. Last week, the MP for Buem, that is Kofi Adams, raised an issue on the floor of Parliament. It was about COCOBOT's indebtedness to the licensed buying companies. And I saw MP for Efutu, Afenyo Makin, vehemently oppose, and you can see how strongly he argued. After that, the two had the opportunity to speak to the media. When they spoke to the media, both sides stood by their positions. Over the weekend, Ghana Cocoa Board says that indeed it owes LBCs, and because of that, the farmers are suffering, and has given them 7 days that between now and the 7th day, it should be able to pay the amount involved. Now the question is, we don't know even how much Cocoa Board owes LBCs, and Cocoa Board has always been going for syndicated loans. I'm looking at around $1.3 billion. I've seen the Deputy Cocoa Board Chief Executive's publication after he granted an interview to another media house that, look, they wanted additional money, and he blames everything on COVID. Now, and in this case, you have two MPs who also spoke to issues, and one of them actually said Kofi Adams was just imagining things and was being populist. And unfortunately, Cocoa Board, maybe because it has been summoned, is now speaking the truth. How do you see this in relation to the conversation we have had, and how this should be handled?
Okay, so the issue of integrity once again comes in here. Now, I'm very, very particular with data. You know, in academia, what we do is to always have data before you speak. On what basis did Honorable Afenyo Makin come out to denounce what, or challenge what Honorable Kofi Adams mentioned? Did he have any data? Did he have any access to data to indicate that, yes, indeed, the Cocoa Board was not owing the LBCs?
Sure.
It's come out that, look, you may be in Parliament. The fact that your government is the one in charge, your party is in charge of the states, doesn't mean you should challenge everything. Sometimes it's even good information. Yes, indeed, politicians will try to make some capital gain out of any issue they come across. But it's incumbent on any man of integrity to start asking questions. Because you see, the challenges, the burdens of the average Ghanaian should be a point of interest for those who are representing their interests in Parliament. I hope you are getting the picture. So if indeed your party is the one in charge of the state, and then there is a major sector of the economy, that is cocoa farmers. In fact, what the income that the cocoa farmers accrue to this country is unmatched to most of the sectors of the economy. Here we are with an MP coming out with an allegation. What was the basis for the denial by Afenyo-Markin? It's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Now, after that, I heard both.
Now we'll continue the conversation. Yeah. I'm here in the studio with the Dean of Students of the University of Professional Studies, Accra. I'm told David is still not on the line. We wanted to speak to him because last week he did a story, and the story was actually looking at how much Cocoa Board has taken, and the fact that they have, as he put it, from their own investigations, had they misapplied the money, and for which reason license buying companies are affected. Now, you were speaking to the activities in Parliament and how it will build on public trust. Now, is it that we should now see another regime of Ghana and governance which is targeting people who we vote for and take them on for what they should do? Because the picture on the ground, as any ordinary person will see, is that the least anger is directed at the presidency or government. Yet we have other arms of government which are not doing the right thing, and nobody is taking them on.
Eric, it's not just Parliament. It's a canker in this country. We live in a country where the major framework which helps laws to be adhered to, that's the enforcement segment of the structures, are not adhered to. It goes beyond Parliament. Look here today. Let me even cite your organization as a practical scenario. When something happens now, it's so difficult to single out those who did it. But all fingers will be pointing at the leader of this place. You remember, this just by the way, you remember there was this KNUST brouhaha among students. Students revolt against.
That was when the students were actually opposing the decision to turn some of them meal halls to mixed.
Do you know the one who caused the whole thing? This security man, a security man who attacked the students and infuriated them. Then they started, vandalizing the whole thing. Till date, do you know the security man's name?
I don't.
Did anything happen to him? Nobody knows.
I believe something happened.
Nobody knows. But if it has happened, we would have heard it by now. But the first culprit was the Vice Chancellor. He would have lost his job. You see, what I've been here is that we don't want to enforce the laws. And even if you are enforcing it, we are a little bit choosy. I hope you are getting a picture. So at any given point in time, no matter the good policies to fight corruption, no matter the good policies to ensure the right things are done, at the end of the day, the culprit will find a way out. Because our laws don't bite. Our laws are subjective when it comes to biting. We are very selective in applying the law. Now, in as much as we may sometimes try to put the blame on how the systems were structured. Yes, there are some few limitations with how those laws are enforced. However, the most important thing we should be looking at is how to enforce our laws. And when this happens, people, when they even break the law and looking at the consequences of what will happen, they may even resign before time.
This is the newspaper review segment on TVXYZ. You can also join this conversation by sending us your text on 0556 999 999. And many of you also know this number, 020-866-7000. 020-866-7000. I've seen many of the text messages already coming. I'll read a few of them. I'm here in the studio with the Dean of Students at the University of Professional Studies, Accra. He's John Kweku Mensah Mawuto, and we'll also be joined by phone Alexander Chumberema is a legal practitioner, and he will be joining us by phone. We also spoke about other things happening in Parliament and how this is affecting the image of members in the House. This text message says, societies in which majority of its intellectuals are non-God-fearing is very worrying. And this Asiekwai Konongo Kaya government, Asanko in Santa Maria. This text message says, good morning, TVXYZ, Wizard TV. We are so grateful for this conversation. It's a better alternative than to sit without monitoring anything. Now, this one says, Honorable Speaker, how can the 8th Parliament be an outstanding one when from day one your people set unprecedented record of ballot snatching, slapping married women sitting on the laps of MPs? And how is it possible? This from Ablade in Efie Kuma. The added text message is brief. I call on government to, as a matter of urgency, announce social distancing in public transport. I think government has announced it. This text message says, from Masawudu in Bantama, the 2020 election petition is not about seeking justice, but an agenda to get John Dramani Mahama to contest for the 4th time as flag bearer of the NDC. OPK from Go also says, Mahama and the NDC can bend the sea. The petition will not see the light of day. It goes on to talk about MP for Techiman South, that we should greet him. I think it's been very consistent, and thank you for being a loyal viewer of TVXYZ. You can follow us on YouTube, join Wizard TV on Facebook, subscribe to YouTube, and follow the conversation. Lots of text messages will be pouring on 0556 999 999. Abena will join us for that. Now let's look at other exciting stories in the papers. This morning we spoke about NPP chair locking up school block over alleged non-payment of contract money. Pupils and teachers stranded. DCE condemns action. Now this is how the Chronicle newspaper captured it. Now this story comes barely 3 weeks after the Contractors Association issued an open statement. They were complaining about heavy indebtedness, and they said if from the beginning of this week government has not demonstrated any action to pay them, they will take up all the facilities they use their money to build. It could be schools, it could be this school facility that has been locked up. Fortunately or unfortunately, there is an MPP chairman, and all DCE can do is to lock it. Two things: government owes, and people taking the law into their own hands. I don't know how you start it.
It's unfortunate. I think this has been happening over the years. We've heard even contractors of Get Fund and other government projects coming out to always bring their issues to the public notice. Now, as a country, it is time we start looking at how to solve these questions, or solve some of these issues, especially at a time that economically we are handicapped in terms of finance. And one, to solve the issue, I think the ministry must quickly move in, call those people to order. In fact, locking up a place is unlawful. You can go to court. Do they have a court order to lock the place? You cannot just move into a school, public school, and lock it. I think this MPP chairman we are talking about here is using some powers. If really it is true, it's using some powers that he doesn't have to go and lock up a place.
No, but the fact is, you see, situate yourself in the shoes of an average contractor.
I understand.
Who has not been paid 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021.
I understand.
And you want me to sit down and say the law and public property?
Use the legal way to solve your problems. You cannot just match today. Even you can't sack your own tenant just like that. I hope you know that. You can't just sack your tenant because you need to go through the. I mean, we've accepted to go by a democratic dispensation, and for that matter, we have to do everything according to law. Now, it's unfortunate some of those things that happen, but just as I mentioned, how do we solve it? The ministry must quickly move in. These people are human beings, as you rightly mentioned. The most unfortunate thing is that some of these contractors have gone for loans. Some of them have their houses being sold auctioned by financial institutions.
Some are dying.
Some are dying. In fact, some are dead. So the government must try as much as possible to see, and this is not even individual.
It may look a bit radical, Mauto. It may look a bit radical, but there is a school of thought that some governments over the years perhaps don't want to listen to soft language. It is when people revolt that is when you see them responding. I remember last year the Ministry of Roads and Highways publicly announced processes to pay back those they owed. They even said they were going to channel some of the money through Fidelity Bank at a certain discounted rate and so on. There were so much assurances. I met one of the contractors yesterday, and the impression I get is that some of them have just been targeted, and so they won't be paid. And this is the local industry of the construction industry. And it cannot continue like that. So if government will take people for granted, what else can anyone do beyond the court?
Well, my brother, have you even read the caption here? The contractor in question is even an MPP chair, not an average.
It's a reflection of the anger on the ground.
That is it. So that's why I say, see, the ministry in charge must move swiftly. Because if all these people are to lock up those facilities in the midst of COVID, what will happen to the students in there? It simply means that we have to lock down some schools, but please quickly move in swiftly and get things done. Either you meet them halfway or you talk to them to back down a bit. Because where we are now, yes, indeed, we sympathize with the government today because it's so difficult. I mean, the entire global economy is on its knees. Virtually every country is crying. The consumption is reducing, investment is reducing. You have
revenues
are falling. I mean, it's not. I mean, it doesn't resonate with Ghana alone, but virtually all the best economies in the world are complaining because of COVID. COVID has restricted people. Output has reduced. People have been limited to work from home. It tells you that obviously it will affect everything. But you see, this is perennial. I mean, it is not something that is new because of COVID. Even before COVID, contractors were owed, and contractors who have to always fight before their monies are paid. It tells you that our expenditure as compared to revenue is always, higher than
I read
revenue.
a text message yesterday, and it was on a WhatsApp group. And then somebody was saying that, why do we do this to our local businessmen? Somebody is in the banking industry, he suffered because of the law. And people are in the same industry but owned by international partners, and they are almost working free. Maybe they are respecting the law or they have the capacity. You look at the construction industry, and most of those who are suffering today are local contractors. What signal are we sending?
My brother, I don't think I have had opportunity to have consulted for these two big parties in terms of contract before. I do not think, yes, there could be some personal, agenda somewhere, because each party at any given point in time will accuse each other. Followers, contractors also do the same. I do not think that personally they'll sit down to plan in order to collapse businesses of local companies. However, it boils down to the fact that at any given point in time, we have deficit budgeting. We have budget that cannot meet our total expenditure. So at any given point in time, we have so many people we owe, not only local, contractors. Now, you have a situation where you have to wait till 10 years or 100 years in order to meet your revenue for which you can develop your society, your community. You also have a situation, this is another option, is to go for loans and use those loans to develop so that you pay it over time. Here we are. Our debt to GDP is increasing on daily basis. You know, the more you have your debt to GDP increasing, then the bond the financing industry will now start questioning your creditworthiness. Okay, and it can scale down in terms of your credibility, in terms of going to the bond market or the financial market to go and borrow. Your ratings will surely reduce when your debt to GDP
which is around 74% now as we speak.
Okay, so when it gets to the stage, then there are issues of default in payment, and once you start defaulting, then your credit rating reduces, and eventually the economy will be affected. Now, this is where we are. That is why my first solution was that the ministry in charge should move swiftly and call those people. You know, we are Ghanaians. If the money is not there, look at how best you can work out to pay these people and get them also settle the obligation.
But don't you see, Kanka, that collectively, I don't know who should start it, and I don't know how we can mobilize public pressure to get it done. That there's a national cake called X, and somebody becomes the president and forms a government and decide to chop the national cake for projects that will benefit us. And then that person leaves office, and then you have another government who decide to leave that one unfinished, contractors unpaid, the project gets rotten, and then fresh ones are started, which may end up unfinished along the line. So the issue is that over the period we have wasted so much resources, we owe so many people, and we have so many projects that are hanging.
Okay. We can easily, or where we sit, one could easily accuse these two parties that has led this country with the commencement of the Fourth Republic, the NDC and NPP. Let's admit that they have not managed their projects very well. Because you see, in project management, if you don't manage your implementation stage very well, it makes the project expensive. You have escalation in pricing. You even have deterioration in the project itself. Okay, so and that thing must stop. It must stop. Every government.
How is it going to stop?
Yes, so you see, every government comes in and want to do something different. Yes, indeed. Some of them, yes, will pick some of the projects in there and complete them based on their priorities. And unfortunately, you see them introducing new projects because of their campaign messages, just to ensure that what they said they've also done it. At the end of the day, it creates so much problems to the economy. Look at affordable housing by Kufuor. What has happened to them?
They were virtually abandoned.
Thank you. Then late Atamos came in. Mahama also brought his. Started some completed. Yes, indeed, I know the Sogleme housing project. Alent now has been completed. It now become something that has been viable now, so people have moved in. These are things we want to hear. Try as much as possible to, and these two parties must come. That's why we need that national development agenda.
And the National Development Planning Committee has just been paying people over the years. And we don't see them driving a collective effort.
That is it.
I've attended their seminars before, but where we fall short is how to collectively agree that, yes, I belong to NDC, I belong to NPP or CPP, we form a government, but we look at national interest first.
That is it.
But that is always not happening.
And these two parties, I always say that it is in their own interest to start agreeing to develop this country. Else, the day will come when the people revolt. The two parties may not have anywhere. If they are forgotten, they should even look at what happened in Burkina Faso, where the youth one day rose and bent an entire parliament house. They didn't say that they had their party faithfuls in there, but it's a reflection that the youth did not see the need for a whole parliament, which is to represent their interests when it comes to lawmaking. Now, we live in a country where the people are always talking about having a consistent development plan. Don't come and trick the process. Till date, we cannot implement a very effective railway system in this country. Is it that we do not know that, yes, indeed, even in Accra here, I always say that, I always mention this most of the platform. Chairman, I live as far back as beyond Legon. If there was an effective railway system, I would never drive from Legon to this place. With effective timing, within 30 minutes or 15 minutes, I am here. Then I can time myself to leave the house by maybe 40 minutes before. And these are like revenue generating areas, sectors, that these two parties cannot say, look, in the next 10 years, let's come together as political parties of this country, because for some years to come, I do not see any third force in our political, regime that will unseat NDC and NPP.
So if there's not going to be a third force, I don't know your own opinion. You can also join this conversation, 0556 999 999, and let's hear your opinion, because it looks like Ghanaians are not angry enough. We go and queue, we join the campaign trails, we elect people, and once they get there, they choose to do what they want. And we end up leaving as many people you can imagine very poor. Send us your view. You heard the Burkina Faso example. We are not saying that people should go and burn parliament. We are not saying anybody should go and attack government. But we must see a Ghanaian society led by key influential groups, let's say civil society organizations, angry enough and driving a certain agenda towards holding public officers to account. I am here with John Kweku Mensah Mauto. He's a Dean of Students at the University of Professional Studies, Accra. We'll be taking a break, and don't forget this discussion segment is sponsored by Health Alert Clinic. I'll tell you more about them and where to find them if you have any problem with your waist or cholesterol, any ailment that can be managed, especially in this era of COVID where they want you to boost your immune system and stay strong. Those little things, get them kicked out by Health Alert Clinic. We'll be back with more on the newspaper review segment.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah.
Always drink fresh, natural, mix, mineral, water.
You still got it.
Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome back. This is the morning update on TVXYZ. You can also follow us on Facebook, YouTube. Wizard TV is always with us, and don't forget that anytime there's going to be any major event in this country, just watch out for the Wizard TV TVXYZ collaboration, where we'll bring you live feeds for you also to follow the conversation. This morning, later today, we'll be going to the Supreme Court for the continuation of the hearing of the election petition case. Today, we understand that Rojo Metal Nunu, the third witness for the petitioner, John Mahama, will again go into the witness box, possibly through virtual means. This discussion segment of the newspaper, discussion segment of the morning update is brought to you by Health Alert Clinic. I am here with John Kweku Mensah Mauto. I told you earlier we'll be speaking to somebody who has done some investigations into Cocoa Board's inability to pay the license buying companies. David Sichofa Tamaklo is the managing editor of WhatsApp News. Last week he did a publication. I'll share that with you on the screen shortly. But David is on the line. David, good morning.
Good morning, Eric. How are you?
Yeah, fine. David, we have called you this morning because last week there was some controversy. One MP on the NDC side, one MP on the MPP side disagreed as to whether Cocoa Board actually owes license buying companies. I read your publication, which made reference to $1.9 billion. And today we have woken up. Cocoa Board says, yes, indeed, I owe LBCs and I'll pay them within 7 days. The Deputy Cocoa Board Chief Executive says, in fact, the delay is a result of the COVID-19 management issues. You have done some digging. Share what you know with us.
Good morning once again. You see, the Cocoa Board issue is akin to the days that when your mother died and they ask you to say it's not. When you start smelling, we all hear it. You recall that sometime last year, getting close to the end of the year, when Cocoa Board issue have come up, there were allegations that Cocoa Board was using monies meant for its operations to sponsor political campaigns and all that, and the company came to deny it. As we speak today, the jobs and lives of over 800,000 cocoa farmers is on the line. We have other jobs in the value chain which are all on the line, only because as we speak, LBC, that's local cocoa buying processing companies, have not been paid the supplies they have made to Cocoa Board have not been paid for, and so they cannot. Some of them are also owing the cocoa farmers. Some have bought from cocoa farmers, taking loans that they cannot. They are accruing interest, and they are really worried. They cannot pay for them because Cocoa Board has not been able to pay them. Cocoa Board is also owing some contractors. It has given some frivolous contracts to that it has not paid yet. As we speak, both Tema Harbour and Takoradi Harbour have ordered cocoa that are cocoa beans that have not been able to be shipped to the buyers. Meanwhile, last year Cocoa Board took a loan of a syndicated loan of $1.3 billion. And also another $600 million in the name of cocoa rehabilitation from the AFDB. All this money, the industry players are asking, where are this money? Where did the money go? You recall how last year some workers at Cocoa Board who got involved with the political campaign used money to influence their elections and people were complaining about it. Cocoa Board came to tell us that there was no evidence of that they were getting the money from Cocoa Board and all that. All these things the industry players are now saying are the remnants of what happened last year. So, my brother, there's a lot of issue worrying the cocoa industry as we speak today.
Yeah, David, I've read a publication that is linked to the Deputy Cocoa Board Chief Executive, and he says that they had actually wanted to go for about $1.8 billion in the form of syndicated loan, but they were able to raise, I think, 1.3 billion. And the difference, 500 million plus, is what is really creating the problems. Don't forget, Cocoa Board is also engaged in other activities to boost production. And so, don't you think that it will be far-fetched if you just want to narrow in the difficulty they are facing now to the perception that they may have used some of the money for campaign?
The question is, what were they going to say the 1.8 billion for? Cocoa Board has not been able to tell anyone how much tons of cocoa has been harvested the last season. The way it works is that they take syndicated loan ahead of the farming season, give it to they take the loan, the local buyers take their own money, sometimes get some seed funding from the Cocoa Board, buy this cocoa beans, they bring it to Cocoa Board, and Cocoa Board then offsets with the money they have taken from the market, from the loan market. What has happened to that money? That is the question. How many cocoa buyers have not been paid yet? And how much does it cost? So if they were going to take 1.8 billion, it would be said that this 1.8 billion is to pay for, say, 100,000 tons of cocoa or 900,000 tons of cocoa. Last year they made 900,000 tons of cocoa. We want to know how much cocoa tons have they made this year? I mean, at the end of the last year, how much tons have they made? So that would be able to inform us as to whether the 1.8 billion they were looking for is really what would have cost them. And that, I mean, the attempt to say that they were going to borrow 1.8 is to suggest that they have paid the 1.3 billion for the cocoa that has been taken, and there are extra cocoa beans that needed to be cleared. That is what the explanation would have justified. But as we speak now, we don't know how much tons they have harvested. We don't know how much they have actually paid. There is no transparency. That is where the problem is. We need to know how much. It's a public fund. We need to know how much they have paid to the LBCs and other contracts that they have executed. We need to know how much tons the cocoa farmers have gotten from their farms for them. So that we
I understand the passion with which you are driving this conversation. There is a school of thought that now that Cocoa Board says yes, indeed, we owe LBCs and we are going to do that within 7 days, then Parliament may allow the Cocoa Board CEO and his team to go ahead. Others believe no, they must still be facing Parliament as summoned. Your opinion, briefly.
Eric, you and I are supposed to interrogate this matter. How much are they owing the LBCs? We need to know. The industry is an industry that affects so many lives, so it needs to be transparent. We need to get that transparency and know what exactly the magnitude of the problem is. We cannot just sit in their offices and tell us that, oh, yes, we owe LBCs, we are going to pay 1 week, we are going to pay 2 weeks. No, we need to know how much cocoa have been harvested. The livelihoods of so many people depend on this cocoa beans. And you know that cocoa is one of the backbone of this country's economy. So if there is a problem, then we are not able to interrogate the issues and get the solution for them. We will all be in trouble very, very soon.
Okay, David, thank you very much. David is an investigative journalist. He's the managing editor of the WhatsApp newspaper and also the vice president of the Private Newspapers Printers Association of Ghana. That's Prem Pag. We'll be taking a short break, but maybe just some 30 seconds if you have any comment on what David said, and then we'll take a break. When we come back after the break, actually, if he doesn't have any comment, we'll be looking at the appointment committee. Some petitions are pouring in, and yesterday one listed about 8 nominees. I'll share that with you if we have to take the break now. Yes, we're going for it.
Still the morning update on TVXYZ. My name is Nana Abenasewa. A lot has been going on this platform. We have been talking about a lot of things. We've talked about Cocoa Board, we've talked about COVID, and you out there have brought forth your comment, and that is why I am here to read them out. So can we have the comments on the screen? Now it says that I'm disappointed in Honorable Muntaka for apologizing if the said judge indeed called a female MP elect. This is coming from Kobi Fosu Efijase Asukari in the Ashanti region. Also, I don't blame politicians with the character and actions they are putting out there. But I blame some groups and journalists who have refused to work in favor of the general public and Mother Ghana. Journalists in Ghana now are not working with their code of conduct, but doing the bids of politicians. This has given them the opportunity to lie and character assassinate people and get away with it. This is also coming from Isaac Edu, Bekwai constituency. Now also this says, hello Eric, so can't we take the case to international court? Erkot Filson from Cape Coast. Now also I am just praying that tomorrow will be a holiday for Chachu Chikata to cross-examine Jane Mensah, XYZ Media and Power FM. What a great family you guys are. I love you. We love you too. Now this is coming from Somala from Tema West constituency. Now also, good morning, Mr. Eric. MP for Ifutu should render apology to our dear cocoa farmers because his disagreement with Honorable Kofi Adams' application was not based on any evidence, because their government is in power and that they have to defend something which is indefensible. The same way Balfour Award challenged our MP for Jaman South on our deplorable state of our roads. These attitudes of NPP MPs should stop. May God bless you, Eric, for the good work you're doing. From George Ejay Bediako Bebiani. Also from our president to the watchman, we are not ready to help our country. Just cast your mind back to the new registration of voters. Are they trying to tell us there was no COVID-19 back then? This is coming from Musa from Yendi. Now watching you live from Kokobite, Accra. Also coming from Dominic. And government's attitude towards this COVID-19 situation is like going to bed with an itchy. Alright, you'll definitely wake up with something smelly on the fingers. Now these are some of the comments that have come in from you out there. You can still send in your comments. It doesn't even have to be related to what we are discussing. If there is anything around you that you think is compelling enough, send them through and we will discuss them if they are compelling enough indeed. My name is Nana Abnasawa. We'll take a quick turn and we'll be right back.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome back. This is the morning update on TVXYZ. You can follow us on YouTube and Facebook. Don't forget, Wizard TV is our partner. We share most of our programming together, and so chase them wherever you can find them on social media, and remind friends to also follow. This discussion segment is sponsored by Health Alert Clinic. I want to share with you a few things you need to know about Health Alert Clinic. They take care of chronic diabetes, chronic hypertension, stroke, numbness, waist and muscle pains. With machine treatment, they go there and they take care of that for you. Also, prostate issues, menstrual problems, burning sensation, then in the foot and the body, chronic body pains, waist and bone pains, typhoid, bad cholesterol, gonorrhea, and then syphilis, dizziness and white. Then I believe that if you cannot also have a good sleep, that is also something they can manage. Health Alert Clinic is proudly partnering us to bring you the discussion segment on Morning Update here on TV XYZ. Don't forget 0556 999 999 is the number you also have to join us with if you want to share your comments. Now, you remember that last week we told you about the Appointments Committee of Parliament getting ready to vet nominees. And last week the schedule came out and we have an idea about the set of ministers who will be the first batch, and it will go on and on and on. Prior to the nominations, there were schools of thought that if some of the ministers of state will be renominated for appointment, they may have tough time before the committee, especially because there are some cobwebs that must be taken care of. There are some petitions coming in. I've seen a couple of them, and last night one of the petitioners identified 6 of the nominees, and it will appear on your screen shortly. And what I see are a list of ministers: Ken Ofori-Atta, Minister Designate for Finance. You see it on the screen, so I'll read along with you. Mr. Kandapa was the Minister Designate for National Security. Eslowusu Ekuful, Godfred Yabua Dami, who has been elevated as the Attorney General, Minister of Justice. Dominic Nitiwu for the Defense Ministry. Efriye Akutu, Doctor, who is the Minister in charge of Agriculture. And Hawa Kumson, who is the Minister Designate for Fisheries, as well as Mr. Kwesi Amoakwata. Now, the petitioners, which is Governance Watch Alliance, are raising some reasons for petitioning the appointment committee against all the listed fellows. Ken Ofori-Atta, for example, they are making reference to the collapse of the banks. They are making reference to the JAPA deal. And then, of course, they are also making a reference to the U.S.-Ghana Power Compact Concession Agreement. I'm sure you remember the PDS issue, for example. And there you see some of the reasons on your screen. But let me just walk you through what they are holding against Godfred Dami. Godfred Dami, for example, they are making reference to the disfranchisement of residents of Santro Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi. Don't forget about the disputed Hohoi parliamentary elections, and of course for Godfred Dami, they are also making reference to what they describe as the fraudulent Ejapa deal that was subsequently described by the special prosecutor as fraudulent after a risk assessment report. And they are talking about the role Godfred Dami played. Dominic Nitiwu, what are the issues they are raising against him? They are talking about the Dominic Nitiwu is the one. Yeah, Dominic Nitiwu, what they are referring him to is the attack on Ghanaians during the elections perpetrated by military personnel. They made reference to Techiman South and so on and so forth. I will read a number of them as we narrow in on some of the nominees. Last week we started some conversation. Yeah. This week the vetting will start. Parliament has decided to sit on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We don't know if this will affect the processes, but what are your expectations, sir?
Okay, it's obviously going to affect how Parliament has planned their work, and which means that they may sit for long hours in view of the new arrangement due to COVID-19. Petitions against nominees. I mean, for me, I'm happy where we are today, that CSOs will come out, other governance, institutions will come out to bring some of these things out, so that every Ghanaian will now subject some of the issues to some peer review and public debate as to whether they can stand the test of time. It's something we have to be looking at. I want to now probably trickle it down to individuals. I think whilst you were reading, you mentioned Honorable Oforiatta, the minister. You didn't read that of the Honorable Kandapa. I really want to know what they have against that man.
I'm told Alexander Chumbarima is on the line, but just for the public interest. Now, the petition by Governance Watch says Mr. Kandapa was also the Minister of National Security, and it was during his tenure that this country witnessed the high rate of insecurity, and below are some of the unfortunate things that happened. And they said during the leadership of the Office of the National Security Minister, the country witnessed the missing Takrady girls. The state failed to watch, to investigate, and it goes on and goes on. And the killing of the undercover journalist Ahmed Swale is also mentioned here. And then he also sanctioned and supervised the brutality that happened during the Ayawaso West Wagon. And so these are the issues raised against Albert Kandapa, and I'm sure you find it on the screen.
Okay.
It only reminds me of even how we managed the Canadian kidnap case. It's missing.
You know, when it comes to issues of petition, we're talking about issues of law and issues of work, competence.
You know, you are with me in the studio, so I'll come to you to speak to this particular issue. Alexander Chumbarima is on the line. Lawyer, good morning.
Good morning, Eric, and good morning to my brother also.
Yes, because of COVID, we want to keep some of you somewhere so that another time you come, and then John will also stay out. I'm happy you have joined us this morning.
Yeah.
I hope you are fine.
I'm good, and you?
Very good. We have discussed a number of issues. We don't have much time, so I'll just draw attention to a few of them, and then you choose what you want, and then speak to it briefly, maybe 3-4 minutes, and then we take leave of you and come back to the studio. We've spoken about Muntaker's apology. We've linked that to the debate between Kofi Adams and Afenyo Makin over whether Cocoa Board owes LBCs or otherwise. Cocoa Board now says it is true they owe LBCs. We've had a conversation with an investigative journalist who think that Parliament should actually probe Cocoa Board because there's more to it. 1.3 billion plus syndicated loan is not a small money for us to be hearing such conversations. We have had discussions which just started about the appointment committee getting ready and petitions appearing, and we've talked briefly about COVID. It looks too many on your table, but I know you like food, so choose the one that is your best taste and enjoy it for us with us.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Let me start with the issue of probing of Cocoa Board. It is a very important thing. You know, Cocoa Board is one institution that is very keen, or is at the heart of Ghana. Let me just summarize it. That's important. Because you know how cocoa, the essence or the impact that industry or that sector has on our economy. So if some funds has not been well used, then there's a need for us to probe them and get the actual questions to be answered. You see, it is a government institution, and we have government officers managing that institution. The chief executive, the board, they are all government officers. We can't just sit down either and watch them use our resources, watch them use funds that belong to the state, whereby they are just caretakers managing it for us, which will not be well used, and then we will just let it go because nobody was probing. Once this issue has popped up, there is a need for the government to take key interest into it and then investigate it to the root for us to know what has really gone wrong. If there is a need for some people to be sanctioned, we need not to spare the rod and spoil the child. We need to sanction those people appropriately. It's very important we do that because it is hard time to take this thing serious. Every now and then we use stories, misappropriation of funds and wrong use of funds and so on and so forth. And then it will just go under the carpet. Nobody will be paying attention to it. You just say as we are doing it this morning, and the next day we will not hear anything about it again. We have come far, and I think at this very moment, issues of that nature should not just be swept under the carpet. But we should take key notes of them and make sure that the right things are done.
Okay, Alex.
Move on to the issues of
Yeah, Alex, I was going to take you to another interesting topic. After Muntake's apology, there's the conversation that it is becoming too often about MPs misconducting themselves, and it is going to affect the integrity of the business of the House and the personalities in there. I don't know what your opinion is or what you recommend should be the approach by the Speaker.
Yes, I listened to Honorable Muntaka when the allegation first came up. And if I'm right, I heard him saying that, oh, there is no evidence, recordings or whatever of the justice and the MP to prove it if the matter comes up. So I was very surprised when yesterday I heard it in the news that, oh, he has brought up an apology to the justices on that statement that he made. And I was like, is it because he doesn't have the proof again? Or because he doesn't want to push the matter further? I didn't get the concept very well. Because if indeed there was an evidence to prove whatever he was saying, why will he come out with an apology? Apology for what? What are you apologizing for? Because if whatever he said is true, there's a need for us to prove it, prove the matter also, and ensure that the justice who was trying to do that is brought to book. But except that maybe he reckoned that whatever he said was not true. And that is why he has come up with the apology. And if that is the case, then as you said, it is taking us to the integrity of Parliament. Because don't forget, Parliament is the third arm of government. So the second arm of government. So you can have members of that institution who are very noble, very honorable people to be coming out with issues of that nature, very serious matters. And then the next day or two, you hear them coming out to say that, oh, they are sorry for whatever they said. We need to be serious as a country. We need to take up issues as it is and deal with it. If something is true, come out with the necessary evidence and let us probe it to the lowest minimum. And not just to say it and then the next day we hear this kind of apologies and then we just let the matter go away. What if the matter was true? Would we sit down and allow this thing to repeat itself because nothing was done to it at the first time? Or indeed it wasn't true? And if it wasn't true, why would we also allow another arm of government attacking the other arm of government with false allegations? So these are serious issues that I don't think we should allow it to just be happening anyhow as it has happened.
Yeah, no. Alex,
Eric, I'm here.
Yes, unfortunately, time is up. I can imagine how you feel if we have to let you go. But whichever way it is, painful though, because you make strong opinion and Ghanaians enjoy you for your frank talk. But unfortunately, let's end it here. I'm sure we'll call you again tomorrow to speak at length. Your colleague John is here in the studio with me. Would you want to say hi to him briefly?
Yeah, John, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
I hope you are taking care of yourself.
By God's grace, so we are coping by God's grace.
All right. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Alex, we'll be speaking to you again tomorrow, I'm sure. John, just to wrap up, I was teasing your opinion on the appointment committee. Time is up. Maybe 30 seconds, one word to all. Okay. And then we can wrap up.
Okay. I think with Honorable Kandapa, I have ever worked with him before, and he's one of the finest brains you can ever work with. Unfortunately, a lot of things has happened during his era, but I still believe that, this is a versatile man. I mean, a man who, is able to work with both sides of the house. So for me, I think he will go through in spite of all the issues. One other issue I want to end with has to do with Honorable Ofori-Atta. Yes, indeed. He also had an unfortunate error. Some of the issues I wouldn't also begrudge him so much. Let's wait and see what will happen out of some of these petitions. However, finally, I want to say that the COVID issue. I forgot to mention this. We should start looking at how to solve the issues, especially the self-isolation. I think there's something we are doing wrong, which I have to bring to the notice of the health authorities. We have two segments of people, those who can self-isolate without a problem. Because, the health sectors are crying of, spacing. Why not look at allowing those who are sufficient to self-isolate than to overburden our facilities?
I think it's an interesting point. we will take it up and
right.
speak to them for some explanation. And I'm sure we'll share that with all of us who follow us on Wizard TV and TV XYZ. So my guest in the studio has been John Kweku Mensah Mawuto. He is the Dean of Students at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, UPSA. He has been very, very instrumental when it comes to conversations like this. He doesn't speak to only this platform. And then I also want to thank my colleague Abna for sharing the text messages with us. Time is up, but we cannot do this without acknowledging those who have been giving us all the support. Health Alert Clinic. You can always call them on 0242518893, 0242518893 or 0242518865. Don't forget that if you have chronic diabetes, or you have waist pains, or you can't sleep, dizziness, and so on, just look for Health Alert Clinic. I think I will also help you to locate them at the Medina Post Office behind the First Atlantic Bank here in Accra. And of course, you need water. 60% of your body needs water. X Natural Mineral Water is a trick, and you can always follow them. Go for bulk purchases. I shared some numbers with you. If I cannot really find them immediately, all I can say is just look for X Natural Mineral Water wherever you find yourself. That's how we end today's edition of the Morning Update. It's Monday. Start your work. Go out and achieve results. Later in the morning, we'll bring you the Supreme Court petition case. I am Erica Hianyo. Abna will be with us tomorrow.